What if I told you that the path to wealth isn't complicated or hard to access, but available every day to people just like you? What if I told you don't need to make risky investments, start a multi-million dollar business, or be born into wealth to experience what it feels like to be wealthy? 15 years ago, I also thought that becoming wealthy was only for other people, that I couldn't achieve it on a normal salary, that feeling comfortable and secure around money wasn't something that I could have too. That was before I learned about a series of habits that wealthy people have that enable them to stay on top of their finances. I learned these through working in finance in the city of London for 7 years, my first class finance degree, and having run my own business catering to luxury clients. Now I'm going to share with you everything that I've learned in those 15 years in less than 15 minutes. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Dahlia and this is Get On Top with Dahlia, where I'm speaking about money, investing, and personal finance every week to help people just like you get on top of your finances. Let's go. First step to true wealth building is having a clear picture of your finances. If you are actively not looking at your bank account or credit card statements because acknowledging the reality behind those numbers is scary, don't worry, I totally get it. But burying your head in the sand, so to speak, is not going to get you on the path to becoming wealthy. The first habit that I want you to get into is to maintain a clear picture of your finances. I want you to today, straight after this video, download the last 3 months of your bank statements and have a good look at your spending habits. This exercise should take you no more than 30 minutes to do. Something that I do is put my statements through an AI program to tell me where I'm spending and analyze these for me. Just ChatGPT or something else that's free, but if you don't feel comfortable doing this, then you can do it manually. Once you've got this, now you have a great starting point. Are you spending absolutely everything that you earn? Do you have a lot of expenses coming out that you aren't aware of? The other way that I love tracking my spending on an ongoing basis is through using a money app called Plum in the UK. Here you can link your bank accounts and credit card statements, and it does all the work for you by showing you your spend, what bills are coming out, and analyzing these all for you. There are lots of these apps around, so go into the App Store and choose one that you like. Once you have your 3 months of bank statements downloaded, here are the most important 3 numbers: your total income, your total expenses, and then the difference between these two. That difference tells you what you need to know about whether you're growing your wealth or getting yourself further into debt. If you're in the red, it's time to take a deeper look at the spending habits that are getting you there. If you're in the green, then that's where you want to be. That is, you are making more money than you're spending. Therefore, you have money left over to save and invest. Having this clear picture of your finances will allow you to plug any leaks and understand where your money is really going. The next habit to becoming wealthy is paying yourself first. We pay everyone else, from our landlords or mortgage through to our utility bills, our hairdresser and nail tech. So why aren't you paying yourself too? What I mean by paying yourself first is putting money aside into savings and investments for future you, for a rainy day or for goals like buying a house, whatever your wealth goals are. Or maybe you're just trying to save for the first time. The way I see it is that the money is going to come out of your account anyway. So why are you paying everyone else and not yourself? The best way to do this is on your payday. So you've paid yourself before you spend your money for the rest of the month. Set it up to come out as a direct debit so you don't have to think about it. And pay yourself into a separate bank account that is not your usual bank account that you do all of your spending out of. This way you will actually keep it aside and you're not tempted to dip into it when you run out of money at the end of the month. This way you're starting off the month with the amount of money in your main account that you can actually spend for the month, and you will adjust your spending habits to meet this. And please remember that saving just a little and often is better than saving nothing at all. So come up with a number that works for you to put aside every month. As a guideline, the standard recommendation is to put 10% into savings. But if that feels like too much of the moment because of the expenses that you have, then pick a number that is affordable to you and, most importantly, that is going to keep you consistent and sticking with this habit. The most important thing here is building the habit of saving rather than the actual amount, because even small amounts can build up to real wealth over time. If you don't have one already, open a separate savings account that pays the highest interest rate possible that you can get in your country. You can easily find these on money comparison sites like Compare the Market or Money Supermarket in the UK. That way, the money that you're putting aside is working as hard as possible for you and not getting eaten away by inflation. The best type of account for this purpose is a cash ISA, because any interest that you earn is going to be tax-free. Once you've done those two things, you're ready for the next step. So let's get on to investing. Investing is the next great habit of wealthy people. Investing doesn't have to be this scary, complicated thing that only bankers can do. It's something that's accessible to everyday people like you and I, and it's really easy to get going. Investing should be a weekly habit, just like doing your laundry or catching up with friends. If it's not already a part of your routine, then the best time to start is now. Not when you have more money. And no, you don't need to spend months researching or having any in-depth knowledge of stocks and shares to start investing. The most foolproof, simple way to start investing today is to just open an investment app such as Moneybox. Choose just one fund that tracks the global markets. Yes, it can be that simple. And just put regular amounts of money into that every single week. This way, with no company research, no knowledge of stocks and shares, not knowing where to put your money, you're just putting it into a simple fund that tracks global growth. Now start automating the app to take money out of your account weekly. I personally get it to come out every week because I consider it then to be a regular part of my spending habits. And to be honest, I don't even notice it coming out. Even if you can only spare £10 a week, do yourself a favor and start putting that aside, because even those small amounts will build up to real wealth over time. If you stay consistent, investing is setting yourself up for a rich future because you're putting money to work for you, so it grows without you doing anything at all. Investing is really one of the only true forms of passive income around. Everyone talks about passive income, but so few things are truly passive. Anything that is a business is never going to be fully passive because you will always need to work on it or have other people work on it. While investing is literally having your money grow without you having to do a thing. By investing and starting early, but don't be put off if you're older and you haven't started yet. Now is still a good time to start investing if you haven't already. You have the potential to set yourself up for a financial future where once you get to a certain income level, you may be able to live off your investment. I have a few videos about investing on my channel, such as how to get started, when to start, basic investment terms, and what I actually invest in. So do go check those out if you're interested in starting your investment journey. The real way to build wealth is not by saving, but by growing your income. This is where wealthy people understand that making money is not about cutting costs, but seeing where you can grow the amount of money that you're making. If you're employed, the fastest way to increase your income is to ask for a pay rise. Now, don't just go in cold turkey or unprepared for this conversation. I want you to keep a log for the next 4 months of the value that you contribute to your role, positive feedback received, and how you're achieving in the different target areas of your position. Now I also want you to research the pay rates for your role. Websites in the UK include Glassdoor, which publish salaries for different roles. You should also have this conversation with your colleagues who are in similar roles to you. I don't think that money should be a big taboo subject, because if we're not more open to talking about money, then it's really difficult to get ahead. When I worked in finance, one day I was having a conversation with a male colleague who was newer than me and had less responsibilities. And I found out he was earning 20K more than me. This gave me so much leverage to go to my boss and have a productive talk with them about my pay. Failing a pay rise, the fastest way to increase your income if you're in employment is to switch roles. Depending on your industry, the average pay rise for staying in your same role may only be a few thousand a year. But often by switching roles, you can instantly increase your income to £20,000 to £50,000 a year. Whether you want to leave your company or not, research what is being paid for your role elsewhere. And it doesn't hurt to interview for those roles, even if you don't want to move. So you can go into your boss with a solid negotiating position, that if they don't give you the raise, that someone else will. If you're a freelancer or run your own business like I do, now is the time to have a serious look at the rates that you're charging. If you're watching this at the start of the year, when I'm recording this, the beginning of the year is a great time to send an email out to all of your clients with your new pricing. One thing that I was taught about negotiation in my 7 years in finance and sales is that rather than trying to sell by lowering your price, instead, know in depth what value you or your product provide and maintain a high price while selling on a premium value proposition. Like, yes, I'm expensive, but I'm worth it. And have your entire pitch about yourself or your business ready. People respect those that don't lower their prices because that is lowering your value. At the end of the day, the price that you put on yourself or your service is your value. Don't diminish that just because someone asks for a discount or because you're desperate to keep the work. In my 15 years of business experience, one thing I have learned is that the more niche you are and the greater you are within that niche, the more valuable you are. Because people can't go just anywhere to provide the services that you have. This applies to whatever type of work you do or whether you're employed by a company. Now I want to talk to you about debts. This is somewhere where wealthy people understand the difference between good debt and bad debt. Firstly, let's talk about the kind of debt that doesn't help you become wealthy and that is credit cards and high interest rate loans, such as Klarna or Afterpay as an example. Credit cards and loans charge you high interest and usually much higher than your savings and investments. And there is no point saving at 4% interest if you're paying a credit card with 25% interest. If you have a credit card debt, the first thing to do is to take out a new 0% balance transfer credit card. And this bit is important. It also should have a 0% transfer fee, because otherwise you're just getting charged money to move your debt across. Now transfer your high interest rate debts over to this new card so you stop paying interest for whatever the set period on that card is, usually around 12 months. Make your primary focus paying that down. If you have multiple credit cards, see if you can transfer all of them across to just one 0% card and simplify your life at the same time. The wealthy understand that not all debt is bad debt, and let me explain what I mean by that. I'm not talking here about credit cards and that kind of high interest rate debt, but I'm talking about loans taken out strategically by you or your business for a specific purpose that will lead to higher revenue further down the line. You may think that you can't afford to invest in yourself or your business, but I want you to really run the numbers on your specific situation. Will taking out a loan of £10,000 to further your training or give your business an edge mean that in the next year you could earn £20,000 more and then the year after that £50,000 more? Don't hinder your growth by keeping yourself small. This principle can be applied to every single kind of career in business. For example, people do this with property all the time. They get into a debt by taking out a mortgage on the property, then they rent it out to gain an income, or they renovate it and sell it for a higher price, which is a perfect example of using debt in a way that enables you to build wealth. The final habit that I'm going to talk to you about today that I want you to incorporate into your everyday life doesn't involve spending money or any numbers at all. This is maybe the most important habit of all. This is an investment of your time. Investing in yourself doesn't have to only mean a financial investment. You may not be in a position to spend a large amount of money on training or investing into yourself or your business, but you have an even more valuable asset on your side: time. Time is the most precious asset that we have. How are you using yours? For example, you could spend hours on research and self-education for free. I mean, just take a look at YouTube. I call it YouTube University because what can't you learn on here these days? Investing your time can also mean networking with people in your industry, relationship building, cold outreach. These are all things you can do to invest your time that will not cost you any money and may even have better results than spending money. When I started my current business in events, I was still in my finance job. I didn't really enjoy it and I wanted to get out, so I started my business in my spare time. That is, I came home from work at 7 p.m. and I would spend at least 3 hours every night working on my business. Everything from reaching out to people in my industry that I wanted to work with, to admin, to setting up my website and talking to clients, to working on my product. I would frequently spend all weekend on this too. I remember there was so many weekends where I would get home from work on a Friday night and I wouldn't leave the house again until Monday when it was time to go back to my office job because I was sitting inside working on my new business. I put in hours investing into myself, and after just 1 year, my business broke even. And a couple of years after that, my business had reached a point where I was able to quit my day job. That wasn't until I had been working the equivalent of 1.5 full-time jobs for several years. But the time investment that I made in myself and my business paid off in such a huge way when I was finally able to say goodbye to the job that I was bored of and walk away confidently knowing that I could make enough money doing something that I loved. It wasn't easy, it wasn't a straight path, but with consistently investing in myself, I got there, and you can too. Whatever it is that you want to build for yourself, it starts with putting in the time. For example, with this new path I'm taking of content creation, I'm approaching it as a full-time job. I'm putting hours every day into research, scripting, video recording, and editing, and giving up other things that will be taking up a lot of my time, such as so many social engagements. So what is your passion that you could turn into a wealth generator for yourself? How much do you want it, and how hard are you willing to work? Are you happy with where you are now in your job, your money journey, and your life? Or do you know that you can do so much more for yourself than what you're currently doing? The best investment that you will ever make is in yourself. And with that, I hope I've given you a lot to think about in this video, and that you'll go right now to start setting up step 1 if you haven't done that already. Save this video and come back to it when you're ready to move on to the next steps. Consider this a blueprint for how you'll create a wealthy, abundant life. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week with my next video to help you get on top of your finances. Ciao for now.